to be acknowledged, definitely.
You'll be partying backstage together later?
Absolutely. It'll be fun, yeah, definitely.
She's a fun girl, you know, she's quite wild, but it's just only with drink and drugs in her. It's just a shame, because she's quite funny and quite... No, she's not. She's very funny, she's very clever, and she's very loving. She's got all these good points about her, but she just hides everything that she's got, all her assets. She just hides them in drink and drugs and sometimes acting like a complete fucking idiot.
Amy and Blake enjoyed partying, but they would take it to a whole new level. They were out of control. Their wild nights of excess had taken a dangerous new turn.
I think the first time she took heroin, we were in a hotel in East London. We'd met up, and we were just having one of our, like, you know, mad little nights. We had a bottle of rosé champagne, had a bath. I only had like a couple of stones of crack and a few bags of bran for myself, and I was smoking it. And she said, "Can I try some?" And I was kind of out, I was out my fucking nut. And I said, "Yeah, of course."
And then, in 2007, Blake formalised their relationship.
I had a bit of money coming from some electrical goods I got rid of, and and I went straight to Tiffany's. I had the idea in my head that I was going to propose to her. And I thought, like, if I'm going to get her a ring, it's got to be from Tiffany's, you know. It's right chavvy, and it's up Amy Street, really. I just got on one knee in the living room. I was nervous as well, you know, I was shaking. And she said yes, then no, then yes, then no. And then we got married a couple of weeks later, you know. But I could tell she meant it.
The couple flew to Miami, where they were married in a civil ceremony.
We went to get our licence from this Miami registry office. We went up in a lift. There's a little makeshift altar. And just stood under it and realised what we were doing, just squeezed each other's hands and got married. I think I had her grandma's ring, which was a lovely ring with like kind of diamonds in it, and she had the engagement ring. We just took them off and put them back on. Yeah. And then got in the lift all giggling. It was just like, wow, how's that happened? Couldn't believe we'd both done it, you know.
Given how talented Amy was, and that Blake was not sort of that ilk, a lot of people have asked why she would choose to be with someone like him, what the attraction was. I think there were a number of things. She liked a notorious guy, and he clearly had that from the start. And I think the drugs very much locked them together. It was like love was the drug.
Back in the UK, Amy and Blake's drink and drug-fueled binges found them caught in the middle of a media scrum.
We started seeing pictures of them out all the time, falling about, being in a total wreck. And then obviously all the stories started to hit the headlines about the drug taking, about the depths of despair that the relationship was in.
Only 3 months after they were married, things reached a new low for Amy. They were photographed leaving a central London hotel, and the harrowing images of the scarred and bloody couple caused a media sensation.
There was one particular picture from, I think they were coming out of the Sanderson Hotel, and they'd obviously been out. They looked a right state. They were covered in cuts and bruises. There was blood all over them, the blood on her pumps. And it was just, as soon as you saw that picture, it was like, we've not seen anything like that. There's something seriously wrong here. It kind of changed after that picture. It wasn't about... After that, it stopped being about him, his music, and her voice and everything, and it was about that there's something wrong here within this relationship, within herself, really, that she needed help.
And now the man at the centre of the storm tells his side of the story.
I mean, there's this kind of famous photo where she's walking around with blood on her ballet pumps. There's all this bollocks about her injecting herself between her toes. Yeah, there'd been like, I think we'd had some mad argument. Oh, I was out of our fucking nuts, and we'd had some argument. I smashed a bottle and just took a chunk out myself, and I think she just looked at me and out of love or fear or whatever it was, or just some fucking weird sense of loyalty, just did it to herself. And I remember just being like, well, I was kind of pissed off. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, from then on, I think she was doing it sporadically. I don't think it was something she did, but I mean, it's just an ultimate sense of frustration, I guess, for her. Just feeling really frustrated, really trapped, probably really isolated and lonely. You know, she's probably the loneliest person I've ever met. You know, it's just a way to put something inside on the outside. just say how she's feeling without actually, saying it. She's not that good at describing how she feels, despite singing well and writing good songs. No, I've never really had to say how she feels properly.
Self-harm is often a sign of deep-seated anxiety, and again would have shown that she lacked that inner self-esteem and, to a degree, the outer self-confidence. It also, of course, gives you pain, and the pain and pleasure axis are quite close. So self-harming is quite similar to the sort of high that a drug will give you. It actually gives you pleasure while you're doing it. Again, you're inevitably leaving scars. At the time you're doing that self-harming, it's almost the intensity of the pain that is pleasurable. It's very, very hard for people to understand who have never, ever considered doing something like that.
The relationship had changed dramatically. They were now totally dependent on each other. Amy toured, and Blake provided the drugs.
As mad as it sounds, it was the only thing I was bringing to the table for a while. Because, I couldn't match her financially. I liked it when I was the only one that could make Amy laugh and that, and the only one that could make her go on stage and little things like that. But soon it was just all about drugs, and I thought, well, at least I can go out and score. Because without me, she'd be sat there in bed all day, she wouldn't be moving. I loved crack and smack more than I did Amy, and she the same.
Amy's 2007 European tour came to a crashing halt in Norway when they were arrested for the possession of cannabis. Disastrously, it meant Amy would be unable to go to the States to attend the Grammy Awards. But it was Amy's drug addiction that was at the top of her father's concerns. Family and friends had tried unsuccessfully to get Amy into rehab. Desperate, Mitch Winehouse appeared on national television to express his fears and frustration.
We do think, where is it going to end up? And we don't know where it's going to end up. But the moment that she decides that enough is enough, all of the help that she needs will be in place. Her family are there, the doctors are there, the facilities there, should she wish to make use of it.
He walks away, the sun goes down, he takes the day, but I'm grown, and in your way, in this blue shade.
In 2007, the couple were forced apart. Blake was remanded in custody over bribery allegations. Amy was now alone.
Blake then got arrested, and at the time we thought this might be a good thing for Amy. Obviously, the separation between the two, could get help from the family, concentrate on the music again. But instead of seeing Amy get back to where she should have been, she deteriorated even worse quite quickly, actually. Within the next few months, we saw more pictures of her going out, getting drunk. She dramatically dyed her hair blonde, lost so much weight, and it became apparent that she couldn't basically live without Blake. Even if you thought they were bad together, then it was almost worse, the fact that he'd been taken away from her and ripped apart.
You have to look back at the concerts before then and see what an influence he had. He'd proved a real crutch, because although Amy was a very accomplished live performer, she was quite a nervous one. So after he went to prison, she then had this long tour to do, and on the first one she arrived late, off her face, and the audience got very frustrated and would boo. And then for the rest of the tour, it just became, or the subsequent few dates, it just became a farce. And so quickly the tour got cancelled.
With Amy's reputation now in tatters, she returned home and went into meltdown.
This was the low point for Amy. At that time, people were saying that she is going to kill herself. This is going to be the end.
The true extent of Amy Winehouse's self-abuse and long-suspected drug problem was about to hit rock bottom and turn her into a global outcast. This shocking video shows the depths to which the frail and lonely 24-year-old had now sunk. However, this time, her husband Blake was nowhere to be seen. He was behind bars awaiting trial. But his toxic influence hangs over her. Their wedding photo is seen behind. She looks thin and frail, with bleached blonde hair. Now, for the first time, Blake Fielder Civil reveals the inside story behind Amy's shocking video, which so outraged Britain and the world.
There's no privacy in that house. any opportunity anyone's had, they've sold the story.
Well, guys, come on, privacy, yeah?
That was my mate that filmed her. I was inside at the time, so I'm innocent of that one.
Blake says drink and drugs were all part of their Camden lifestyle. Excessive binge drinking and drugs abuse sometimes brought on frightening seizures. He even witnessed Amy having a fit, only to recover and then carry on partying.
Just general rock and roll behaviour, I guess, but I mean, shocking, like being a bit more mature about the situation would probably be like having seizures and just carrying on.
But Amy's father, Mitch, recalls a time when his daughter was anti-drugs.
She was a complete opponent of hard drugs. In fact, she got up and said that she couldn't understand why people in the music industry took hard drugs, and that changed about 6 months ago when she got married to Blake. And I'm not saying it's Blake's fault. What I'm saying is Amy's responsible for her own actions. However, it's a fact that the hard drugs coincided with their marriage.
The extent of Amy's addiction was now out in the open. It would lead to one of many arrests. Her whole career now hung in the balance.
When Amy was caught smoking crack, it was a shock moment. We all knew it was happening, but seeing those images being visualised made it incredibly shocking and potent. And also crack took things to a different level with Amy. Cocaine, whether you like it or not, is a drug that we all know is around in the celebrity industry, in the music industry. Crack cocaine is something else altogether, and I think it's a drug that everyone instinctively rears back from.
They were just so shocking that you had it in front of your eyes there for all the world to see, and you really thought this could be the end of her career or the end of her life, really.
This was such a big story that actually made the intro of News at 10, and she was basically forced into rehab to have another go at cleaning up.
Singer Amy Winehouse arrived at a rehab clinic this afternoon for what her management says was a routine appointment. Her visit, caught on camera for News at 10, came on the day she was shown in a video apparently smoking crack cocaine.
She just looked so thin and out of it. I remember she had to hold her waistband of her skirt to keep it up, and this is someone who would drop down a grid sideways. You know, she was so thin, and she was being dragged along. It struck me that she was completely out of control. She had no energy. She didn't know what she was doing. She was literally being taken away, and it seemed to me from her eyes she had no real sense of where she was going.
Regular experienced drug users will learn to develop a cocktail or a mixture of drugs that give them the high that they seek. So that's probably a mixture of alcohol and, you know, classes A, B, C drugs. So they would have learned that crack cocaine gives you a very immediate, piercing sensation, but it doesn't last very well. Heroin can sustain that a bit longer. Sometimes you need alcohol to actually bring you down from a heroin high. So they will just have developed their own balance, that have self-prescribed a mixture of substances which kept them at the level that they felt their happiest at.
Amy's scarecrow appearance on the video was a far cry from the sassy beehive diva we all knew and loved.